Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Ways and Means Committee, our voting session for Tuesday, March 16th. We have about 10 to a dozen bills on today's list. I don't think today's meeting will be exceptionally long, and then we will have some announcements at the end. We will start with House Bill 418. Delegate Washington, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 418 requires that each county board adopt a policy prohibiting use of symbols of hate on school grounds, including the personal effects of the students. There is an exception for symbols used in coursework. County boards must distribute material detailing the policy and consequences for violating it. There are two amendments. One amendment clarifies that that students should not be harshly penalized for wearing these, that they should use, and that's it. The Second Amendment just clarifies that it is limited to, and Alistair, if you're on, can you just describe the amendment one more clearly than I can?
Yeah, absolutely. It says that it is limited to cases in which the symbols of hate may be reasonably forecast to cause a school disruption, which tracks with language that the Fourth Circuit adopted in Hayward, something versus Hayward, apologies, for those constitutional scholars out there. So it's just making sure that this is protected from constitutional attack.
And Delegate Washington, the First Amendment, you said that, and I think you said it, but just to clarify for everyone, that a student doesn't have to be initially punished, they can just be told, cover that up for today.
Correct, which is what most LEAs do currently. So, you know, if a student comes in and wears the wrong uniform, they usually give them a shirt or tell them to change. And so the first infraction will not be punitive, will not penalize the student.
Thank you. Delegate
Punitive, that's what I was trying to say.
A question from Delegate Buckle?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, my only question or my only concern was I tend to want to support this, is that we're not talking about political symbols. We're talking about symbols of hate. I don't know in the bill that they're defined. I know we've passed bills before about swastikas, nooses, things of that nature. In this bill, my understanding is they're not really defined. There's not a list of symbols which are automatically categorized. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay, and so so the intent of the bill and the language of the bill between Alonzo or Delegate Washington or Alistair, it's not to encompass. I think my side of the aisle only gets nervous about environments which may have a political bent to them and say, okay, I wore a shirt promoting a certain candidate or not, and all of a sudden I'm punished for that or I'm disciplined for that. That's not what the bill is talking about. The bill is talking about very ecumenical symbols of hate and violence provoking. Is that what we're getting at?
Correct. It has to have a history of disruptivity, and it has to have a history of it. It's just not anything that can just be made up, that anyone just makes up randomly. So it has to have a history of it.
And I think you all considered maybe limiting at some point, and clearly I think they were trying to abide by the court case that Alistair mentioned. So I think when they were considering limiting, they were thinking of swastikas, nooses, or burning crosses, realizing that that's not the best way to go about it. And I think, Alistair, can you explain again the Fourth Circuit?
Yeah, so there is actually a definition of symbol of hate, which is that it's something that expresses animus toward a particular racial group, religious group, gender identity group, sexual orientation, disability status, or national origin group. So political groups are not part of that. Additionally, you know, there's an intermediate standard of scrutiny for school speech, and generally things that are likely to cause disruption are upheld. And so we're really focused on those sorts of things, like the chair and the vice chair have stated, like things that have a fraught history, like crosses and swastikas and stuff. So
not a cross per se, but a burn.
I'm sorry. Yes, not
right. I mean, something that's a symbolism of an acknowledged hate that's singling out a group. And I'll just be honest. I mean, we don't want to get in a situation where someone wears a
Confederate flag,
you know, "Make America Great" hat, and all of a sudden is somehow disciplined, or someone wears an Obama Hope T-shirt and is disciplined in, you know, Garrett County. I don't want that at all. But I
don't think anyone does.
Right. I do want kids to understand that civility is important and taking those kind of steps are necessary. So I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
Delegate Rose?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that kind of goes back to the discussion in our subcommittee. So, I had put in the chat about, is MAGA a symbol? And again, I'm not making this a future going forward thing, but, following up on Delegate Buckle, if a kid comes to school with a MAGA hat or a MAGA t-shirt over the next year or two, I don't want them being marginalized. And so that's why I'm concerned about the political overtones. I think that our kids should be involved in politics and being engaged in that. And I appreciate, as far as, the religious symbols, but that's still a little bit of a concern for me. Just putting that out there.
And again, when you mention religious symbols, I don't think any religious symbols are being held up. It's just
No.
the burning cross, not the cross.
No, I know, and Alistair did confirm that for me. I'm still concerned about some of the comments that have been made about, January 6th, and if anything has anything to do with Trump, that's, inciting violence. I really, that is a concern. And I don't think that's fair to some of these kids who, maybe don't think all of this through and, they still feel like, like they want to do that. And I think that's okay. I don't think that's
I don't think the MAGA hat or anything like that would be covered by this.
No, none of that will be covered. We discussed this in subcommittee. We actually had a really great conversation about this.
We did.
And it's, again, it's not punitive to students that come in. We wanted to use it as a learning tool for students to be, so we make sure it wasn't punitive. But also it's not covering any candidates, any political parties, anything like that. It does not cover those types of things that you wear or anything that you wear in the school at all.
And just to reiterate, and I think we already covered that, but this is still going to be covered by the local school board. So we still have local control how we implement this bill. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you for that clarification. I missed that part.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Vice Chair, did you want to go back?
Yeah, I was just saying that this is saying that all local boards must create a guidance for this and a policy stipulating this. And so it does leave them the ability to add things in the future, but it still must have to adhere to the law, meaning that it has to have a history of disruption. It just can't be.
And if for any reason they haven't gone far enough, or think they've gone too far, we could certainly make changes next year or thereafter.
Correct.
That's always something to consider.
Yep.
Delegate Butler?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. The question I have is, does this include the teachers too?
Delegate-
Because we have seen around the country that sometimes teachers have, gone off the deep end and have, been racially insensitive or religiously insensitive. So does this bill cover them?
No, I don't think so. Alistair, where you show up in here?
It covers in general the displays of these symbols on school grounds. There is an exception for classroom displays. So this bill is not prohibiting someone from teaching about the Holocaust or teaching about the history of Jim Crow or.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
That's not what he's asking.
About the teachers themselves, because we've seen incidences around the country where teachers themselves have been the arbiters of hate and this kind of thing. So that's why I'm asking does the bill also include teachers in that regard?
It
Yes.
does. It does.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate Long?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only concerns I have is how this will be interpreted by local school boards and how it'll be implemented. And we've seen some of the examples we just talked about today being, children, students being taken out of school because of some church or whatever they had on. And, just wish we could come up with a plan that would, it would work for everybody. I'm just, like I said, I have some concerns for this. Thank you.
Delegate Long, they do have a plan already in place for any other types of clothing that they wear that's inappropriate, and they don't send students home for that, they really just make sure that they have that they either change their clothes or provide them with something, or they might get detention or something like that, right? Like, it's nothing punitive that we're trying to do for the student. So
We had a couple of incidents where they told them to either change them or they had to leave, and it become a back and forth, freedom of speech. Anyway, that's my 2 cents, and I don't.
Well, Delegate,
Thank you.
Long, just remember, our Supreme Court has always said that even the First Amendment is limited when it comes to hate speech or yelling fire
Yes, ma'am.
or Twitter. So there already are First Amendment limitations. Delegate Guyton?
Thank you. I just want to thank the subcommittee for considering this bill. It's important to a lot of kids and personally to me as the sponsor. If it helps at all, I did want to point out to both Delegate Boltner Long and Delegate Rose that in our counties, in Baltimore County and in Carroll County, absolutely no policy change would be needed. So all of these things are already in place or about to be in place at the beginning of the school year for both of those counties, including the penalties.
Boy, I said we were going to have a quick day and then the first bill takes longer.
Well,
I guess I wasn't too smart.
Madam Chair, I want to move the amendments.
All right,
Second.
amendments, and there's a second. All right, any other questions on the amendments? All right, all those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move the bill as amended, Madam Chair.
Second.
And then any further questions or comments? All right, all those in favor of the bill as amended say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Delegate Shoemaker. All right. House Bill 463, Delegate Lupke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are secondary on House Bill 463. The primary committee is Health and Government Operations. As they amended the bill, they took out all of the provisions that are really under Ways and Means purview. So the bill no longer includes an increase in the alcohol tax. It no longer includes the tax credits that were in the original bill. It no longer includes loan assistance repayment program. It's going to be funded out of stimulus dollars and try to help provide better healthcare in communities that are underserved. Our subcommittee was unanimously favorable.
All right, and you guys didn't make amendments. It was just the amendments that were made in HGO?
Right. We need to adopt those amendments. Would you like me to move that now, or I see a question from Delegate Buckle?
Well, just move them and then we'll come back to it.
I move the amendments.
Second.
All right, questions?
No, I just want to state that I want to make that clear, for the record and for our members, we have different meeting mechanisms this year, that the bill does eliminate all the amendments to the bill do eliminate all of the tax raises and does not fund the and significant objectives of the bill with any type of enhancements or affecting the alcohol tax. So I think it's a good bill and should be supported. Thank you.
I like, though, that you're adopting our language about revenue enhancements.
We call those tax raises.
All right, any other questions on the amendments? All right, all those in favor of the amendments say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the bill as amended?
Move favorable.
Second.
Yeah, moved and seconded. All those in favor, or I'm sorry, any other questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, House Bill 850, Delegate Barnes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I said earlier, this is a bill that I am extremely excited about. And I know that my good friend Buck was equally excited as I am.
He's working for your job, Vice Chair Washington. You should have seen it. He's working for your job. You better watch out.
Listen, this bill establishes the homeowner protection program within SDAT. Under the program, the state will buy the tax liens of vulnerable homeowners from local governments. The homeowners must fill out an application and have an income and home value below certain amounts to be enrolled in the program. Seniors and people with disabilities will be given priority to enroll in the program. The department will reach out to each enrolled homeowner to help them pay their taxes by setting up payment plans and helping them apply for existing tax credits and other benefits. Whew, this is exciting. Homeowners enrolled in the program will be protected from foreclosures for 3 years, will not be charged any fees, and will be charged interest of 6% or less. This bill has 6 amendments. Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 clarifies that municipal corporations are included in the program. Amendment 3 authorizes SDAT to cancel the enrollment of a homeowner in the program and clarifies when a homeowner enrollment in the program ends. Amendment number 4 provides that SDAT may not be sued for certain reasons when carrying out the program. Amendment number 5 alters the funding source for the program. The amendment strikes the increase in state transfer taxes and the fees on tax sales certificates. Woo. Programs will instead be funded by mandated general fund appropriations of $750,000 of each of the fiscal years in 2023, 2024, and 2025. Come on now. Amendment number 6 delays the effective date of the bill to 2022 when funding for the program will become available. Madam Chair, I ask you to move the amendments.
Second.
Second from Delegate Buckle.
You're on mute, Buckle.
This is
I heard
quite
you.
easily the most emotion we have seen out of Daryl's
I-
6 years I've been serving
simply wanted
in the legislature.
I simply wanted to again remark for my colleagues, given our limited communication, that the amendments very clearly, they do strike any of the transfer tax raises. They do
Okay, that's good.
the fee raises, and they provide for the $750,000 of the worthy program through other funds. This is not a tax raise or a fee raise, and I'll vote to support the bill.
That's what I'm talking about, Buckle.
Wow.
All right, thank you. So I heard a first and a second. Are any questions on the amendments? All right, all those in favor of the amendments say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the bill as amended?
Buckle, you want to move the bill?
I'm on mute.
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other questions? All right, thank you. All those in favor of the bill say aye. Any opposed?
Thank you,
All
team.
right. Yeah, thank you. Definitely a team effort with not just Stan, but Delegate Barnes and his subcommittee this past fall working on some homeowners issues. Yes, Delegate Ivy?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Subcommittee Chair. I just wanted to thank you for your leadership on this piece of legislation. It's a very important one, and I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we all want to co-sponsor in spirit, if that's all right.
Delegate Hornberger wins a lot of points for that. Thank you, Delegate Hornberger. The old pile-on amendment. All right, House Bill 54, not as much love on that one. All right, Delegate Washington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 854 is a Mark Fisher special. It deals with the Maryland Longitudinal Data System. It amends the type of data collected by MLDS to include data relating to a child's placement in and out of home care institution, requires MLDS to publish a graphic data dashboard on a dual enrolled students and on information on children out of home placements. There are amendments that I'm going to ask Alistair to explain to everyone.
Yes, happily, Mr. Vice Chair. So the amendments shift the focus. Instead of being focused solely on out of home placement data, it is focused on child welfare data writ large as part of the student data that the Maryland Longitudinal Data System Center collects. Additionally, the amendments require that the Secretary of Human Services serve on the Maryland Longitudinal Data System Center board, and that rather than just making those data dashboards public on their website, they also send them to the governor and the library in the General Assembly so that there is a record for posterity of them. I believe that is the extent of the amendments.
Any I think, was it, did you move them yet, Delegate
I
Washington?
move the amendments. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions on the amendment? All right, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any, all those opposed? Losing my paper here. All right, and on the bill as amended?
Move favorable.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Delegate Butler. Okay, Sarah and Pat, you got that? All right. I believe 860 Delegate Lutke.
Yeah, I moved to special order 865 until our next voting session.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. And House Bill 901, Delegate Barnes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 901, this bill dedicates 3% of the hotel tax revenue in Annapolis to public art. The bill also establishes a reporting requirement for organizations that receive county hotel tax revenue and authorizes the county to audit those organizations. The county may withhold funds from the organizations if they fail to submit a required report or fail to correct any audit findings. The bill has an amendment. The amendment dedicates 3% of the hotel tax revenue in Annapolis to housing assistance payment. Move the amendment.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any
Sorry, Delegate Jones. Sure.
moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the bill as amended?
Move favorable.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. House Bill 944, Delegate Eversole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Establishes the Growing Family Child Care Opportunities Program. And provides grants to establish support and local pilot programs for the grant recipients. Grant recipients must provide technical assistance and financial incentives for individuals as they navigate MSDE's process to become registered family child care providers. It sets aside $450,000 in way of three $150,000 grants both in fiscal 2022, 23, and 2024. There's an amendment to the bill which clarifies the geographic areas and the geographic availability. Move the amendments.
Second.
Motion and a second on the amendments. Question, Delegate Lukey.
Yeah, just a question for the subcommittee chair. I'm confused by the grammar here. Are we trying to grow family childcare opportunities? Are we creating childcare opportunities for growing families?
Yes.
Either.
We're trying to create new whatever the question was, the answer is we're trying to create new family child cares across the state. There'll be 3 areas that can get a grant. Counties can work together if they want to work with a family child care, not family child care, a child care resource center in their region. They have to offer a matching grant to the $150,000. They can do it. They can get an MOU and do it together, and they don't have to do equal amounts. They just have to figure out how they want to do it.
All right, Delegate Hornberger with the question.
Never expected questions on this one, I have to tell you.
Okay, just to clarify, during the bill hearing, we heard that all jurisdictions could opt into this, and I just heard 3 jurisdictions. So could you clarify that?
There's only enough money for what would seem to be 3 of them at this time. So MSD will have to decide on the grant, the grant awardees. So there are, I think, 10 or 12 different child care licensing regions in the state. And there are like 20 child care resource centers. So those centers are capable of doing this. And so a couple of counties, they wouldn't have to be in the same child care licensing region. They just have to work with a resource center that serves their licensing region. So even 2 counties that overlap differently could come together and work on this, or single counties can work on it. There's a program similar to it in Montgomery County right now, has produced over 40 new family child cares in the last 2 years. So it's good bang for the buck.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate Lasanti.
Thank you. And just a little bit of a farther clarification. Since Hartford and Cecil counties share the same resource center, for them to qualify for the grant opportunity, would both counties have to come together? And
Not at all. The bill says county or counties. So if they, in other words, if they didn't want to pony up a full 150,000, they could come together and they could sort of do it collaboratively and get them with the resource center. Or if they want to fly by themselves, they can go to MSDE and ask for the grant themselves.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And on the bill as amended?
Move the bill as amended, Madam Chair.
Second.
Seconded, any questions? All right, it's very confusing looking at Delegate Smith with the food behind her head, but now I'm a little confused there. All right, Delegate Lasanti, did you have another question? Or is
Oh, sorry. No, ma'am.
No problem. All right, all those in favor of the bill as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I will add that I didn't mention this bill now goes over to appropriations. They're secondary on this one.
All right, thank you. That looked to be unanimous. House Bill 1178, Delegate Lukey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1178, I move to special order until our next voting session.
Okay, no problem. House Bill 1311, Delegate Barnes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The bill requires that the state, a county, or municipal corporation to provide a property tax fund to a disabled active duty service member, disabled veteran, or surviving spouse for years in which they are eligible for a property tax exemption, but the exemption was not granted. The disabled active duty service member, disabled veteran, or surviving spouse must apply for the refund within 3 years after they have become eligible for the exemption. The bill applies retroactively for 3 years. Move the bill.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, there are no amendments. Are there any questions? All right. All those in favor of the bill say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, unanimous. And House Bill 1342, Delegate Lutke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1342 is nowhere near as exciting as the bill that Delegate Barnes discussed earlier. This is just a technical departmental bill. It was unanimous. Move favorable.
Second.
All right, are there any questions? All right, thank you. All those in favor of the bill say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, and on 1372, we were originally made primary with appropriation secondary. We are re-referring it to giving appropriations the full jurisdiction on this, but they will be reaching out to us for some advice on the policy components. So I just need a motion for.
So moved.
Second.
I've heard a motion, a second. All those in favor of the referral say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, excellent. Thank you. And then, so I think, 3 or 4 subcommittees met earlier. We're going to continue voting through the week, maybe not every day, but we still have another 15 or 20 or so bills to get through from different subcommittees from all. So there will still be some more meetings. I do think some meetings have been scheduled. Any announcements, Mr. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Education Subcommittee will meet tomorrow following floor session.
All right, Delegate Patterson?
Madam Chair, not yet for racing and gaming.
All right, Delegate Lutke?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will be meeting on Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Thursday at 2:30 p.m.
All right, Delegate Ebersol?
Early childhood, we're eyeing up Thursday after session.
All right, Delegate Barnes?
Local revenue, stay tuned.
And Delegate Wilkins, I think you are scheduled.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Election law will meet tomorrow, Wednesday, March 17th at 2 p.m.
So I think based on the fact that just one subcommittee is meeting tomorrow, we will likely not vote in full committee until Thursday. So we have a few more bills from the other subcommittees as well. But stay tuned and stay safe. All right,